Today I'm going to talk about the physiological benefits and application of Samhita based Dinacharya in current scenario, which is the topic which is selected from webinar series. And I thankful to this Nepal Ayurveda Medical Student Society organization for inviting me for this webinar series. To talk about myself, I am Dr. Vijay B. Naglur, working as a professor and head in the Department of Swastharutta, STM College of Ayurveda, Udupi. So I did my graduation from KLE's BM K Ayurveda Mahavidyalaya, Belgaum, and I completed my post-graduation from STM College of Ayurveda, Hassan. Presently, I am doing a PhD in Swastharutta subject. So let us start about this Dinacharya. You know, Dinacharya is a vast subject. We can't finish in a single day or a single lecturing series here. So I tried my level best to explain this Dinacharya procedures and their physiological benefits, and I'm going to explain the scientific facts behind these Dinacharya procedure. So let us start with Dinacharya. You know, this there is a saying that is prevention is better than cure. Okay, so in Ayurveda, when you go through this objectives of Ayurveda, that is swastasya swastha rakshanam aturasya vikara prashamanam. Okay, there are two objectives are there in Ayurveda. The first and foremost objective of Ayurveda is the prevention of the health, prevention and promotion of the health, and the second one is, you know, the curing the disease condition. So Ayurveda gives more priority for the preventive measure. And coming to the Swastharutta, Swastharutta is one of the science that explains about the preventive measures. Okay, so in order to lead a healthy, happy, and long life, we need some principles which are explained in Swastharutta. Nowadays, the lifestyle disorders are common. So the main cause for this lifestyle disorders is our wrong habits, and Ayurveda is such a science that explains everything here. It starts from Dinacharya, that is daily regimen, and Nishacharya, that is night regimen, and Rutucharya, that is seasonal regimen, and Sadvrutta principles, the code of conducts, and all the factors which are essential for leading the life are explained in So coming to this this concept of this Dinacharya, before entering to this Dinacharya, so there is a one quotation is there in Bhava Prakasha, that is Dinacharyaha Nishacharyaha Rutucharyaha Yatoditam Acharan Purushaha Swastaha Sadatishtat. So there is a shloka that explains about the Dinacharya, okay, the daily regimen, Nishacharya, that is night regimen, Rutucharya, that is seasonal regimen. If you follow these all regimens, definitely the one can lead a healthy and happy life. So coming to the topic here, Dinacharya. The Dinacharya is made up of two words, Dina and Charya. Dina means, a day, Charya means regimen. Okay, so the regimens which are followed in order to lead a healthy life are explained in Dinacharya. So Dinacharya will start from Brahmi Muhurta, ends with the Sandhya Charya. Okay, so in order to lead a healthy, disease-free life, we have to follow Dinacharya, that is a biological clock. It is very difficult to explain all the procedures, all the regimens here, and I tried my level best to explain the few of the Dinacharya procedures, and I am going to give scientific facts behind these Dinacharya procedures. So let us start with the first one, that is Prataruthana, that is also called as Brahmi Muhurta. So time to wake up. So nowadays the people lifestyle is entirely changed here. They used to work in the night and they will sleep in the daytime. So this will definitely end up with a lot of this lifestyle disorders or non-communicable disorders. So we'll start with the first one, that is Brahmi Muhurta or Prataruthana. There is a shloka is there in the text Samhitas, that is Brahmo Muhurte Uttiste Swasto Rakshartam Ayushaha. The one who desires for long and healthy life should get up in Brahmi Muhurta. What is the word meaning of Brahmi Muhurta? Brahma, the word meaning of Brahma means the knowledge, and Muhurta means the time period. Okay, so together Brahmi Muhurta means it's a auspicious period. It's a special, or you can call it the auspicious period, where you can do some meditation, right, reading, worshipping the God, or any other activities, because this is the ideal time to do some meditative activities. The question comes here, so what is the exact time period for Brahmi Muhurta? So when you go through this various texts or Samhitas and Jyotishya Shastra, we come to a conclusion that the 4 Gatikas, that is approximately 96 minutes before sunrise, is considered as a Brahmi Muhurta. So it varies according to the season. Of course, in summer the days are more, in a winter the time period for days are less. So in this way, according to the season varies here. Then note that the 96 minutes before sunrise can be taken as a Brahmi Muhurta. So this is the special, or you can call as a auspicious time where you can do some auspicious things here. So the question comes here, what happens when you follow this Brahmi Muhurta? So I'm talking about the latest research things and scientific facts. The number one is when you follow this Brahmi Muhurta, there is a liberation of nascent oxygen. So that's called O3, which is available early in the morning, and this nascent oxygen easily mixes with the hemoglobin and reaches to the remote tissues. So all the tissues are energized by following this Brahmi Muhurta. This is the number one benefit, or you can call as a physiological action here. Number two, the release of serotonin hormone. The release of serotonin hormone, you can call as a happy hormone, which makes you enthusiastic. Okay, so if you follow Brahmi Muhurta, you will get a you can get a serotonin, so which is called as a happy hormone. One can get this, that makes you enthusiastic. Okay, so in order to talk about doshik level, so Brahmi Muhurta is a time period where the Vata is more predominant. Okay, so when you compare, or you can biologically, when you divide the Vata, Pitta, Kapha, so early morning the Vata is more predominant, and this will help for easy evacuation of the bowel habits. Okay, so this helps for the elimination of toxins from the body. And the number third is the vibrations, the earth vibrations are very less early in the morning. So the person can concentrate easily and his mental activities are in a highest level. So that's why in the older generation used to tell that early morning you should read. So that's true, because the grasping power, the concentration is very high in early in the morning, and the hormones are in the optimum level when you follow this Brahmi Muhurta. So all the hormones are in the peak level in the this Brahmi Muhurta. So these are the scientific researches regarding this Brahmi Muhurta. So nowadays, our lifestyle is entirely changed here. So all of you, my request is all of you follow this Brahmi Muhurta. So in order to get such a plenty of benefits, one is the nascent oxygen, another one is the serotonin is the mood elevator. It makes you the whole day enthusiastic, and so it will proper time for vata. So definitely there is a evacuations of the bowel. It removes the toxins from the body. So these are all the benefits one can get when you follow the Brahmi Muhurta. And coming to the next Dinacharya procedure, which is told in Ayurveda, is Ushapana. Okay, as the name only indicates, Usha means the morning drink here. So Ushapana, it tells that you have to take a water early in the morning. So that's very essential, because this intake of Ushapana will stimulates the intestine. It enhances the peristaltic movements, easily helps for the evacuation of the bowel movements. So after that, one should go for Mukha Prakshalana. Mukha Prakshalana means you have to wash the face with a cold water. So whenever it's mentioned that water we have to take for cold water, so in some seasons, in a winter season, one should go for lukewarm water. So this washing the face is auspicious thing, and it prevents the acne and other skin diseases. And the next procedure is mentioned is Danta Davana. Is very, very important and very relevant topic. So I'm not going to explain what you mean by Danta Davana, what are the classifications. I know there are different acharyas mentioned in different types of Danta Davana. I'm going to highlight two important things. One is, the drugs which are used in the Danta Davana, number one. And number two is the technique which is mentioned. The technique of brushing is mentioned in Ayurveda. These are the two things I'm going to highlight today. So when you go through this Danta Davana dravyas, okay, so there are different categories of dravyas or medicines are mentioned for Danta Davana. I'm not going to tell detail about those things. The secret, the one common point which is there in all the Danta Davana dravyas they are rich in three important rasas. One is Katu, Tikta, Kashaya. So look at this, all the drugs here. The first and foremost is Nimba. That is a twig, a neem twig. Okay, it's a Tikta in rasa, Tikta rasa pradana. It's a very bitter. It acts as a disinfectant. So it's the best disinfectant and bactericidal, and removes the microorganisms. It removes the microorganism in the oral cavity here. And the next one is Katurasa. It does Kapha Chedaka. So the mouth is the place where kapha is more predominant here. So whatever the excessive kapha which is removed through this Katu rasa. And the one more rasa which is told, that is Kashaya rasa. The Kashaya, the main action of Kashaya is Ropana. So whenever you are doing brushing, some bleeding may comes from the gums here. So this Kashaya rasa does Ropana. Okay. So these are the three important rasas which are mentioned in Danta Davana procedure, and these are very relevant because it removes the bad odor, and it increases the salivation. And the one more important beauty of this Dantadavana is, the technique of brushing. Okay, so in text in Samhitas it's mentioned that Dantan Puram Ado Garshet is mentioned. So one should brush the teeth in a vertical direction, especially from bottom to top. And even the modern dentist also follow the same thing here, which is very relevant because when you do the vertical brushing, all the food materials, whatever the bad things which are there between the teeth, that will be removed from the teeth, and perfect cleaning will be there. And this is the beauty of Danta Davana. So when you do Danta Davana with especially the Ayurvedic herbs, definitely it removes the halitosis. Okay, so that will be removed here, and it gives a good salivation. Okay, it gives a good salivation, and that will helpful for the digestion. So that's very important here. And the three rasas, especially Katatikta Kashaya, plays a major role in order to prevent the oral hygiene. Okay, so very well, nowadays now COVID-19 is affecting in a large quantity. It's a pandemic now. The intention is, the Ayush system is telling to all the people that one should go for this Ayurvedic Kavala Gandusha Dantadavana. The intention is very clear. So all the it acts as a bactericidal, right, and virucidal, and it maintains the oral hygiene here. So next procedure is mentioned is called as Jivha Nirlekana, that is tongue scraping. Okay, so in Ayurveda advocates that the tongue cleaning should be done with the help of instrument which is soft, and it is about 10 angula. It's made up of silver, gold, and iron. Of course, these are the textual references here. So nowadays what we are using here with the tongue scraper, we clean the tongue here. Definitely it's having a physiological effect. The first and foremost is it stimulates the taste perception, and it increases the salivation. So saliva contains a salivary amylase lysosome which act as a bactericidal. So when you do this Jiva Nirlekana, so salivation will be more, and it stimulates the taste perception. It gives a good taste for the food. And one more important and interesting thing is this Jiva Nirlekana act as as a acupressure point. So this tongue is quite related with some of the organs like liver, spleen, kidney. So definitely when you scrape the tongue, it stimulates the vital organs, liver, spleen, and kidney. So the next very important procedure is mentioned, that is Gandusha and Kavala. Okay, so Gandusha means that filling the mouth with a medicated drugs without a movement, holding the drugs until the tears will comes from the eyes. So that's the Gandusha. And next one is Kavala. Kavala means so in order to say mouth gargling, so we have to hold the medicated drug, and some rinsing movement should be done in the mouth. So this is Kavala. So these two concepts are quite relevant nowadays. The latest procedure you can call as nowadays what we are practicing, that is oil pulling. Okay, some of the research says that the oil pulling having a lot of benefits in the oral cavity. The same procedure which already mentioned in 5000 year old, that is Kavala. So in Kavala Gandusha, Sneha Dravyas are mentioned, Snehamsha is mentioned. Definitely it will helpful for the maintenance of oral hygiene. When you talk about the physiological benefits, Kavala Gandusha gives a good exercise to the oral cavity. When you do gargling, when you do the gargling of the mouth, it gives a best exercise for the muscles of the cheeks, and jaw. So all are toned up when you do this gargling, or if you do this Gandusha and Kavala. And the different medicated oils which are used in Kavala, like Gandusha, and this mucous membrane of the oral cavity has ability to absorb the liquid soluble drugs, have the potency or the active principle of the dravyas which is present in Gandusha and Kavala. So whatever the active principles are there in the drug, they are absorbed inside the body here. So it enhances the circulation. The number one, it enhances the circulation of the oral cavity, and the rapid acceptability of the potency of the drugs will take place. So these are the benefits of Kavala and Gandusha. So these are very important nowadays in order to prevent this coronavirus, usually which is located in the oral cavity here. So when you follow this Kavala Gandusha, we can prevent this such type of the communicable diseases. The next procedure is mentioned is called as Anjana Colarium. So the eyes are considered as one of the important sense organ. So in order to protect eye from diseases and improve the vision, so Ayurveda advocates Anjana Colarium. So this colarium is very, very beneficial here. So basically there are two types of Anjanas are mentioned. One is Saviranjana, another one is Rasanjana. The Saviranjana, so antimony, you can call as antimony. So this is one can perform everyday basis. Saviranjanam Nityam. So every day as a Dinacharya procedure, one can go for this Saviranjana. And another one is Rasanjana is mentioned. So it can be applied once in 5 or 8 days here. So I'm not going to go detail about this classification and all. Coming to the physiological point, or the relevance of this Anjana is very important here. How the action of Anjana will take place. So in Ayurveda, especially in Dinacharya, tells that one should do Saviranjana on a daily basis. So when you follow this Saviranjana, the drugs used in Anjana have easy penetration because they are rich in circulation. Especially the more circulation will be there in the conjunctiva. So whatever you are applying this Anjana, so it does irritation to the eyelids and conjunctiva, and thus enhances the circulations, and which increases the bioavailability of the potency of the drug which are used in the Anjana. So number one, it increases the blood circulation, and number two, it enhances the bioavailability of the potency of the drug which is used in Anjana. And the third important point is the sustained drug release action. The sustained drug release action because of mucosal cavity. Okay, so this is prolonged and slow sustained release of the drug which are used in Anjana one can get. So that's the beauty of Anjana. And so this Anjana one can practice easily and having more benefit for the health of the eyes. Okay, the next point which is mentioned in Dinacharya is the smoking, that is Dhumrapana. Dhumrapana is mentioned in Ayurveda. So don't compare with whatever smoking what we are doing. It's entirely wrong concept. So Dhumrapana is a medicated smoking which is mentioned in Dinacharya. It's mentioned after Anjana. It's mentioned after Anjana. Dhumrapana is a medicated smoking which removes the vitiated kapha dosha which is situated in the head. So it is entirely different from other tobacco smoking here. So usually in tobacco smoking, what we'll do usually, so we have to inhale through the mouth and exhale through, or remove the flame through this nose here. But in Ayurveda is entirely different here. The smoke will taken from the mouth and expelled through the nostrils. But in Ayurveda, the one should take a smoke through nostril and mouth, and it can be taken out through mouth. So this is very important here. the expelling of the smoke through mouth only. So that's the explanation is given in Dhumapana. So when you expel through the nose, definitely that harms the eyes. I know the person will end up with the ENT disorders here. So to talk about the physiological effects, the medicated Dhumapana includes various herbal medications act as a disinfectant action, like Haridra is used, Gogulu is used. So whatever the drugs which are used, okay, so that are, act as a disinfectant, okay, so that will prevent a body from various infections here. And the smoke, whatever the smoke which releases the carbon dioxide, so this carbon dioxide will stimulate the respiratory centers. So this carbon dioxide will stimulate the respiratory centers present in the brainstem and triggers the normal physiological functions of the respiratory system. So this is very important here. So it triggers the nervous system, especially this whatever the carbon dioxide which is there in the smoke. So definitely the whole nervous system will be stimulated through this smoking, that is Dhumapana. And the next procedure which is mentioned in Dinacharya is Nasya. Okay, so in the text it is mentioned that Nasahi Shiraso Dwaram. Okay, Nasahi Shiraso Dwaram. Nose is the entryway for the head, and whatever the medicines which are used in the form of nasal instillation cures the diseases pertaining to the head. So the administration of the medicated drug through the nostril route you can call as Nasya. Okay, so again in Nasya there are different types of Nasyas are mentioned in the Ayurvedic text. So I am not going to tell detail about that classification. So I am going to stick on for this Pratimarshanasya. So Pratimarshanasya is indicated in Dinacharya. Okay, so Pratimarshanasya is indicated as a daily purpose. One can use this on daily basis here. So especially the Anutaila or even Tilataila can be used for a daily purpose here. So when you talk about this, the physiological benefits of Nasya, whatever the Nasya drugs which we use are made up from Snigdha Dravyas, Sneha Dravyas. The sticky nature of Nasya Dravya avoids the entry of dust particles or microorganisms in the nasal tract. So the foremost benefit of Nasya is because of its sticky nature, it obstructs the particles, whatever it may be, a bacteria or virus. So that will obstruct the entry of the viruses inside the respiratory system here. The Nasya Dravya, so whatever the Nasya Dravya which is used, that triggers the nerve endings and that sends the message to the CNS. So directly it stimulates the nervous system. Okay, so whatever the some even Nasya is used in the treatment purpose also. So as a Dinacharya, it triggers the nervous system. So that will helpful for the day-to-day activities. The one more important beauty of this Nasya is the potency, or you can call as a active principles which are there in the Nasya may act on brain through the cavernous sinus. So whatever the drugs we use in the Nasya will enter into the nervous system or it enter into the circulation, and that will helpful for the health of an individual. So these are the benefits of Nasya, and these two procedures, especially the Nasya, Kavala Gandusha and Dantadavana, these are highly recommended for today's scenario, because we are fighting against this coronavirus, COVID-19. So whatever the viruses are there, that will be stuck inside the nasal cavity and the oral cavity. If you follow this, the Nasya Karma and Kavala Gandusha and Dantadhavana. Definitely one can prevent our body through such infectious diseases. So go to the next one is, the Vyama, which is mentioned. One more procedure is mentioned, that is called as Vyama. So this is very important, Vyama, because nowadays these lifestyle disorders are common. The main causative factor for this lifestyle disorders is a lack of exercise. In Dinacharya, the Vyama plays an integral role here. So whatever the action which produces the tiredness in the body is called as Vyama. Sharira ayasajanakam karmam Vyamam. It's mentioned here. So Vyama means which produces a tiredness, So whatever it may be, I'm not telling that you have to do jogging or running and other thing. So whatever the activity you do, either you play the football, volleyball, whatever it may be. So that produces, a tiredness, that produces a sweating, that increases the heart rate, that increases the respiration rate. So all comes under Vyama here. The minimum of 45 minutes, if you are doing Vyama, that's enough here, because this Vyama plays a very integral role in the prevention of lifestyle disorders. I'm going to talk about this Vyama. There are different methodologies are mentioned regarding the Vyama. So how much duration one should do according to doshik wise, Vata, Pitta, Kapha, like that is mentioned. So I'm not going to explain in detail here, because I'm explaining the physiological effects of Vyama here. So Ardha Shakti Nishavastu is mentioned. So one should do Vyama, half of his Bala. Okay. So how to measure this? That half of the Bala here means there is a sweating over the forehead will be there, and the tiredness will be there, the lightness of the body will be there. So these are the features of Vyama here. So coming to the physiological benefits here, the exercise improves the circulation, number one. So whatever you are doing the exercise, so it enhances the circulation, and it develops the musculature. It enhances the musculature. So if you do this Vyama regularly, it increases the carbohydrate metabolism. So whatever the carbohydrate metabolism, that will be enhanced here, and it reduces the fat, extra fat which is there in your body. So whatever fat is accumulated inside the adipose tissue, all will be removed when you are doing exercise regularly. So increase oxygen supply will be there. If you are doing more exercise, the respiration rate will be more, the oxygen supply will be more, and increases the basal metabolic rate. So one of the benefit of Vyama is, it increases the basal metabolic rate. So if you are doing Vyama regularly, the whole body will be activated, especially the circulation, and it gives a massage to various organs like liver, spleen, stomach, and various vital organs which are there inside the abdomen. So these are all the benefits of Vyama. Next, we have to discuss about the important thing is Abhyanga. It's very important, Abhyanga. So oil massage, you can say in a simple words. This Abhyanga oil massage, which is good for skin. So this Ayurveda tells Abhyanga should be done on a daily basis. Okay, especially Shirashravana Padeshu. So the whole body massage should be done on daily basis, of course. So we are busy with the work here. At least once in a week we should go for this Abhyanga, that is oil massage. Actually, the head and foot massage is mentioned in Ayurveda. Shirashravana Padeshu tam visheshena shilayat. That's mentioned here. So it indicates that the application of oil to the shiras and pada is very helpful in order to maintain our body here, health of an individual. So when you talk about this, the physiological benefits, the massage or Abhyanga, it enhances the blood circulation. That's very important. And it induces the release of endorphins. So endorphins are released during this Abhyanga, which shows analgesic effect. The endorphins, it got an analgesic effect. It reduces the pain. Okay, and while doing the massage, it triggers the acupressure points. So when you are doing massage regularly, so it stimulates the acupressure points. Thus, the whole body parts are stimulated here, and moreover, it stimulates the nerves. So when you are doing the massage with the pressure, there are different types of massages are there. So when you are doing this massage, definitely you are stimulating the nerve endings. Thus, the nervous system will be activated. So this is about Abhyanga. The one more procedure is mentioned in Dinacharya, that is Udvartana. So Udvartana, in order to say simple words, it's the medicated powder massage. Okay. So Udvartana, there are different types of Udvartanas are there. Udgarshana, Utsadhana, Samvahana. So there are different types of Udvartanas are there. So I'm explaining only the Udvartana and its physiological benefits. So Udvartana mainly reduces the kapha and meda. Okay. So excessive kapha is there in our body and meda is there. That will be removed through this Udvartana. If you are doing Udvartana on daily basis, definitely you will get rid from this kapha and medas. Okay. So to talk about the physiological benefits or the mode of action of this Udvartana. So whenever you are doing the powder massage, it enhances the hepatic circulation. So it enhances the hepatic circulation, which may reduce enzymes, induces the glyconeogenesis. So induces the glyconeogenesis and lipolysis, and this will help to overcome the cholesterol levels. So this is the physiological benefit of Udvartana. So it induces the glyconeogenesis and lipolysis. So thus we can prevent or it removes the excessive fat which is accumulated in the body. And number two is it enhances the blood circulation. That's very important. It enhances the blood circulation. Second point is it stimulates the nerve ending. So definitely when you are doing a massage or when you are doing Udvartana with the medicated drugs, it stimulates the nerve ending. And the one more important beauty of this Udvartana is endorphins. So it induces the endorphins. Endorphins are the that reduces the pain, or you can call as analgesic effect one can feel by doing this Udvartana. So coming to this next procedure, that is called Snana. Okay, that's very relevant here. Snana, the bath. There is a beautiful explanation is given in Ayurvedic Samhitas regarding Snana. So Snana not only auspicious, but in order to maintain the hygiene, the body hygiene, we need Snana. So regarding Snana, there are two concepts I'm going to highlight. Number one is so which water should be selected for Snana, number one. Okay, so Ayurveda tells that the Ushna Jala is contraindicated for above the clavicle, above the shoulder level, because if you are using hot water, that will harmful for the eyes, and it helpful for the hair fall. Okay, so these are contraindicated. Hot water is contraindicated above the clavicle. So the cold water is indicated. Of course, in certain season, some modification can be done here. Even you can use the lukewarm in the winter season. Basically, the hot water should not be used above the clavicle. And coming to the physiological benefits, definitely when you do Snana, the first and foremost thing is it reduces the tiredness. You will be fresh, enthusiastic. So Snana is very important. Next one is it gives a good circulation to the body. It enhances the virility. So some of the text says that in order to improve the semen quality, one should go for Snana. That's why Snana is indicated after Maithuna. Okay, so because of tiredness, so if you are doing Snana, it reduces the tiredness, it gives the circulation, and it gives the freshness to the body. So these are the some benefits of snana here. So coming to the next point which is mentioned in Ayurveda is anulepana, that is anointing. Okay, anointing means application of this aromatic lepas to the body. What nowadays we are using, various perfumes which contains chemicals, so that will harmful to the body. Instead of that, the anulepanas which are mentioned in Ayurveda or in Dinacharya, these are highly relevant nowadays. Okay, there are variety of anulepanas are mentioned. The herbal anulepanas are mentioned. The physiological benefit of this anulepana is, the one is, it gives, complexion, good complexion, and it increases the ojas and strength. Ojas is the ultimate sarabhaga of saptadhatu, right? So when you are anointing or applying this lepas or anulepas, so it enhances the ojas. It's auspicious, it gives a good luck, and it gives a strength to the body. Okay, it reduces the bad odor and sweat, and it reduces the tiredness also. So these are the benefits of anulepana. Apart from this anulepana, vastra dharana is mentioned. Okay, so Ayurveda, the beauty of Ayurveda is, it tells about the vastra dharana. Okay, in which rutu, which type of vastras can be indicated here. So such type of explanation is given in Dinacharya procedure, and this by wearing the proper vastras one can protect the skin from various infections and the environmental changes. And the one more Dinacharya procedure is mentioned, padatra dharana, that is wearing of footwear, that's very important. And danda dharana, holding the stick, is mentioned because in olden days people used to go outside, the animals will be there, so in order to protect themselves from the animals, so danda dharana is mentioned. And one more beautiful explanation is given, that is ushnisha dharana. Ushniva dharana is mentioned. Ushniva means turban, wearing the turban and covering the face. Nowadays it's common, so wearing the mask. Okay, so that is also mentioned in Ayurveda, that we have to protect our body from various infections. So these are all different types of Dinacharya procedures are mentioned here. So these are very and highly relevant nowadays. To summarize all the Dinacharya procedure, of course in a single lecture is very difficult to cover all the Dinacharya procedures here. So I highlighted the important Dinacharya procedures which are very relevant nowadays. To summarize the all Dinacharya procedures, the overall benefit of this Dinacharya procedure is, number one, it maintains the hygiene, and this is very important. The maintenance of hygiene is very important, especially what I previously told, this Pratimarshanasya, Kavala, Dantadavana. These are highly recommended in a present scenario in order to prevent from this COVID-19. And the overall benefit of Dinacharya, it enhances the strength. So when you do all this Vyayama, Udvartana, definitely the body will be strengthened here. And it brightens the Indriyas. When you go through this Anjana, it helps for the the improvement of the vision here. Take a nose Nasya, it helpful for the physiological benefit of the nasal or respiratory activity. So all Indriyas, tongue, all Gyanendriyas you can call, are stimulated through this Dinacharya procedures, and it promotes the health and longevity. Okay, so I already mentioned, in order to maintain the health of an healthy individual, so Dinacharyas are very important. So if you follow Dinacharya, one can prevent the health from the diseases, and even it promotes the health. And I hope I covered all the Dinacharya procedures and explained the physiological effects and with a scientific background. And uh, I thank Nepal Ayurveda Medical Student Society for this opportunity, uh, for for this webinar series. Of course, initially there was a technical error. Uh, I will end up with this webinar series with my short introduction. Myself, I'm working as a professor and head in the Department of Swastarutta, STM, College of Ayurveda, Udupi. I did a graduation from KLE, BMK Ayurveda Mahavidyalaya, and I did my post graduation from STM Ayurvedic College, Hassan. Right now I'm doing a PhD in STM Ayurvedic College, Hassan. So with this short introduction, once again I thankful to this Nepal Ayurveda Medical Student Society for this opportunity. Thank you. Thank you one and all. And one my sincere suggestion that all of you follow this Dinacharya procedures are very simple, Pratimarshanasya, Kavala Gandusha, and definitely that will create a lot of changes in your body, and these are highly recommended in the present scenario. With this, I conclude. Thank you one and all. Namaste.